is up, B fam? Welcome to another episode of Enjoying Your Blended Family. We're so glad to have you listening in today. And today we're going to be talking about a very specific topic, a very specific group of people that is really near and dear to my heart because I do believe a lot of my divorce came from the fact that we were a military family who did not have the resources that we needed. It's pretty much we ended up divorced. We ended up separated within months of him getting out of the military, my ex-husband getting out of the military, and then divorced within the year. And so when our friends Ginger from Family Core reached out and told me about Live the Life, I began to check out their account, and they are geared up to help military families. I'm going to read their bio just because they say it a lot better than I would be able to say it. I want you to hear the kind of help and the heart behind what they do. And then we're going to have them on and they're going to share just some of the resources that are available, maybe get to some of the heart and the why of why divorce is such a big thing in military families. So let me just go ahead. I'm going to share that with y'all right now. Richard and Elizabeth are founders of Live the Life, and they believe in a holistic approach is needed to address the enormous pressure placed on military warriors and their families. They seek to preserve military families, help reduce the stress of separation, help enhance communication between the spouses, decrease loneliness, decrease suicides, develop healthy relationship skills among all family members, and foster teamwork. Now, all of those things are stuff that a regular nuclear family would need. That's stuff that a blended family would need, but more specifically, that help for the military families. And so they have so many resources available. They have a large team that helps them out as well. So we are very honored to have them here taking their time today to speak to us, and they'll introduce themselves right after this. All right, Richard and Elizabeth, could y'all share with us a little bit of your family dynamics?
Well, we this year will be married 35 years. We do not have a blended family, but we work with lots of blended families, and so we have a passion for that, and we care about that. We care about all families. We want all families to be strong and healthy. But we know one of our family dynamics is, we almost became a blended family about 25 years ago. We went to our very first marriage class at our church. It was Gary Smalley's Love is a Decision. Don't know if you're familiar with that, but they asked the question of the marriage, how would you rate your marriage on a scale of 1 to 10? And I gave it a 9.5 because I won all the arguments. So I thought we had a great marriage. And Elizabeth gave it a 2.
Ooh.
And we're teaching the class. And I was like, honey, 10 is the high score, 1 is the low score. And she's like, I know. And I'm like, I was very upset because we're teaching the class, right? So I got home that night and I got a legal pad out and I started to write down all the ways that she could improve and get her scores up, and had all kinds of suggestions for her on how she could become a better wife. So we came this close to being a blended family and going through the divorce. And she said if things didn't change, she wanted a divorce. And at that time we had 2 small children, and I thought to my life flashed before my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, my life is going to be very different. The lives of my children are going to be very different. We had 2 little girls at the time. Your life's going to be different. Everything's going to change. Everything's going to be turned upside down if we don't figure this out. So I stopped everything and like, I got to figure this out. I'm still trying to figure it out, some 25 years later, but that's what's made us passionate to help families, to help couples, to help marriages have a stronger relationship so they can avoid some of that headache and heartache and just trauma in their lives.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that part of it because, yeah, and I think that happens so often in our marriage where we go through these ups and downs, and just like Elizabeth, I'm assuming, was not really vocalizing the things that she was unhappy with for you to think everything was going okay. And I came into my second marriage like that. I was very passive, very quiet, and thinking everything was good because we didn't argue because I argued a lot with my ex-husband. We fought a lot. And so now I thought because we didn't ever fight, we had a healthy marriage, when in reality, we never talked about any of the hard stuff. We just swept it under the rug and kept moving forward. And you can only do that for so long before that rug gets a big old pile of
Yeah,
crap under.
that's right.
under.
Yep.
Yes. So, and like I was saying earlier, this specific topic, and I'm going to ask y'all here in just a second, just be thinking on like, where is this desire to help military families specifically came from? But I'm finally to a place in my life where I'm able to talk openly about my divorce and openly about like the pains and my part in it. And one of the big things in that was us being military. And I really had no resources or understanding on how to support my ex-husband after he came back from the war. Like, he signed up for the military as a way for us to get free school in 2000. Then 9/11 happened, 2001. Now all hell's broke loose. And we were like, what the heck have we gotten ourselves into? We're 19 years old. We have a 1-year-old baby. And now we've signed up for something completely different than what we thought. And we probably spent more of our marriage apart than we did together, just because of all of the time that he would be just doing classes or trainings on base, or then his time overseas, and then me moving back here to Texas while he was still having to do finish up his stuff in California. So there was just a whole lot involved. He got out of the military in February and we were separated by April because he came home to a whole new wife. I found Jesus in the process. I began to like find my peace in volunteering and getting involved in the church because I just lived in fear constantly that something horrible was going to happen to him. And so I began to just really dig into my relationship with the Lord. And he came back and he knew nothing of that. He was my everything when he left. And so we just really clashed when we came back, and I didn't understand how to help him. And he moved on, I moved on, and then within a year we were divorced and we had completely different lives. And so just curious, like, what is it for you guys? Were y'all military, or is it just like seeing the need? What got y'all to the place where militaries are something that is near and dear to your heart?
We are so honored every time we get to serve the military. It's humbling when you think about we happen to serve two of the most deployed bases. And so, they are just under complete stress, as you might know. I mean, my goodness, they never know when they're going to be out the door. And so that is just a really, really hard thing. And so it's just such an honor. There's such amazing people that just serve and keep our country safe. And it really just blesses us beyond measure. We really didn't set out to do that, but we're just beyond blessed that it's worked out that way.
Well, anybody that needs help, we want to help them.
Absolutely.
And so, you look at the military, and these are patriots. I'm kind of a military history buff. I read lots of books on military history. I'm an American history buff. I just love that stuff. I eat it up, and I never served in the military, but I have such respect and such admiration for people who do serve, because they keep me safe. They keep my wife safe and my kids safe. And these are patriots that serving our country. When I see the research about the suicide rates in the military and how high that is because of the sadness and the loneliness and the separation that you were talking about, and so many things that military families face, the pressure, the enormous pressure they have, and then to try to keep the family together and keep the marriage strong on top of that pressure, man, they just it's like they've got the two strikes against them. I don't know if this happened to you, your husband, when he was going through the military. We hear this all the time that they have you get in the military, they say, well, if we wanted you to have a wife, we would have issued you one. Mm-hmm. And so and they'll get in there in these recruitment things. They still do this on a lot of the bases, and they'll say things like, well, you're probably going to get divorced. Being in the military, you're probably going to get divorced. And they tell this to folks, and we're like, what? No. Stop telling them that. They're well, without help and without resources and without knowledge and skills and information, you're more likely to be divorced. But you don't. Let's set them up for success, not start off right off the bat with that kind of message.
Yeah, and that's for sure, because it's not just the sacrifice that they make of giving up of their lives as far as their physical life, they're sacrificing and have on the line for us. But I mean, I can't sing the national anthem without tearing up, because I see so much more that they give up. They're giving up that chance of being in their kids' lives the way that, you and I get to. They're giving up
Yes.
that relationship, that marriage, because it does put that strain. They're giving up so much more, and then their spouses as well, and their children. The sacrifices coming all around, not just on the battlefield, which is huge. I mean, that would be in itself enough, especially for those that lose their life because of it. But it goes so much deeper, because even those that do survive and make it home, their home often is not the same when they come back, which is what we experienced. And I know things have probably changed, because now it's been at least 15, 16 years removed from our situation, because I've been remarried for 15 years. And I don't know if the help and the resources have changed, or like what you were saying, the stuff that they would tell them. Like, I know, like, getting help and going to see a counselor, all of that was just like really frowned upon back then. I don't know if that's still a thing. What would you say is the most common issues that you see in the couples that y'all are helping, the most common issues that they're facing?
Well, and you hit on something very important too, that the unsung heroes is very often that spouse that's home. So the one spouse is overseas or deployed or doing the work, and then the unsung hero, the sacrifices that they make, is every bit as important, and they don't always get the accolades. They're sometimes almost invisible, and that's when we do it. But a lot of the issues that we see are loneliness, and you can be married and be very much alone. You can be single and not be lonely at all. So it's not based on your marital status. It's dependent on the quality of your relationships. And so they did a Harvard study. For 75 years, they followed these people. It was like one of the largest long-scale studies ever done in history. And what they found was, after 75 years, what is it that makes people happy? What is it? What do you need to go the distance? How do you really measure success in life? And these Harvard researchers didn't find they got the opposite of what they were thinking. They thought, well, if you make more money, you retirement with a great 401k, you go play golf, all these things that they had in this fantasy world of having a successful life. No, it's none of those things. It's, what is the quality of your relationships at the end of your life? How strong are they? How strong are your connections? How strong is your community? Who do you relate to? Who do you care about? How thick is that community of people that you love and that love you? That is where you find the happiness. And so to help those military couples and those families learn how to connect, whether it's husband and wife, whether it's father son, mother daughter, those teenagers, all those different relationships. If those relationships are strong, everybody benefits. The military benefits, and they are doing better. You asked that question. Yes. They are doing a lot better now. They're seeing it, and they're making it more of a priority. And part of that's because they've had some people go and tell some of the senior officers, hey, for the amount of money that you just spent on a one-night bombing run, can we dedicate that ammo buy that you just bought for $300,000? Can we put that $300 ammo buy and allocate one night's bombing run to do some marriage strengthening, some date nights, some family retreats, and let's sow into these warriors. Let's sow into their families and help them have that stronger bond. So this resiliency is a big word now. So they're doing a lot more resiliency around faith, family, all the different dynamics, your physical resiliency. They're seeing it more now.
That's awesome. So is that what y'all actually do? You go on to like the military bases and you have these evenings or these retreats type things where military families are able to go, and then y'all, I guess, educate them and just like you would a marriage retreat, and just really speak life into them?
Yes, we do marriage retreats. They're usually Friday to Sunday, and it's just an amazing thing to watch the couples come in on Friday, and how they leave on Sunday is so very different than the way they came in on Friday. And that's the beautiful thing that we get to see. We get front row seats to these amazing changed lives. And not only are they getting great information, but they're getting skills to take with them to incorporate in their lives and just really change their lives. We had one couple that just went through not only our Adventures in Marriage, but our Hope Weekend, because they were in real stress. And she looked at us after the Hope Weekend and she said, you know, you guys have changed our lives forever. And not only have you changed our lives, you changed our children's lives and their children's lives. And she was in tears, and it just, I'll never forget that. And that's what life is about. And I'm just so thankful that we get to be a part of it. So it's just really, really fun.
That's our win, you know,
That's
working with them. And everything from date nights, which are just kind of fun,
Yep.
casual, playful, communication, playing games, winning gift cards, competition, having a little fun, to the more in-depth, you know, marriage retreats. And then we scholarship a military couple once a month to go to our Hope Weekend, which is, you know, $2,500 to go through our Hope Weekend, but we scholarship one military couple every month. And as our way of saying thank you to them. Now they got to get here, they got to get to Florida, you know, Tallahassee, Jacksonville, or Fort Lauderdale, one of our offices. But once they get here, we scholarship one couple a month to do that. And then we do the family retreats, the family frontiers. We do that with the kids, so the families work together as a family, solving problems, team building, relationship building, skills development. Or we just did one with teenagers, helping the teenagers work through that. Those teen years are already challenging, but now you add the military dynamics and some of those broken relationships from mom or dad being overseas or being deployed a lot, and some of those strained relationships. And we just try to throw up like a softball, just this nice, easy softball for them to just hit it out of the park. And the evaluation, we just came back from that retreat, and the teenagers were like, well, we got to hang out with the other teenagers with the instructor, and we really liked that. But we also loved that we got to spend time with our parents, you know, trying to reconnect and trying to have a better relationship. So they were trying to figure out which one they liked better, and like, well, we liked them both.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was exciting.
That is so cool that y'all do that and make that available, especially doing that scholarship for them, and them being able to take the time just away from the mental load that I know that they're carrying on a regular basis, and to be able to just go and just be free. And I know not everybody gets the opportunity to do that. So if there was a military family listening now, because I know like I go in and I help in daycare settings, and I was talking to one of the teachers, and she was fixing to move, and I just really was asking her questions. We were very surface level in the beginning, and really the more I asked questions, the deeper it got to realize that they were really on the brink of divorce. Like it was like we're either separating or we're making this next move. We're either going to stay together or apart. You know, they were still trying to figure that out. And it broke my heart. And, you know, I was able to pray with her in that moment and just, you know, believe God is going to send them the right resources that way. And so I'm thinking of her right now, like sitting out there, and if she's listening to this episode, what would be some things that you would tell that couple sitting there right in front of you to divorce proof their marriage?
Well, we would say that the concept of us is such a powerful thing, you know, that in a healthy relationship, in a healthy marriage, there's me, and then there's Elizabeth, and then there's us. And us is more important than me. And us is more important than her, because us is the relationship itself. So we teach couples specific skills to help them work through conflict and work through issues and work through problems in a way that's for us. Not that I win and she loses, because that's what I was doing. I was winning all the arguments, you know, and that's win-lose. And that just steamrolling over my wife to get my way. And that's what I grew up with. I didn't know any better. And, you know, we found that's the case. Most people just don't know how to do this because they didn't learn it in the homes they grew up in, and they never saw this. They never experienced it. So how in the world can we expect them to be really good at conflict resolution and working through things in a healthy way when they've never seen it? So learning about us and teaching that skill to get to a win-win-win. I win, she wins, the relationship wins. That's us. Us does not come easily. Us is hard to find. Us takes a little work to get to that win-win. I got me down. I can win in the fight.
I got me down.
She's got her down. So we can do that in a second, right? That's easy. That's no, you know, I know what I want. I know she wants, you know, they're not the same. It's always the same. So, but how do we find that us? And us is always there, but you have to go on a hunt for it. It doesn't come naturally. So we help couples learn how to do that, to find that us. That's a win-win-win. Everybody wins. The family wins. We win. It's a win-win-win. So that's, I mean, I'm giving you like a very Reader's Digest version of
it comes down to the fact that we all know we need to do certain things, but how do we make that happen? So that's something that I feel like we do a really good job at Live the Life. We show people how to operationalize what they already know. How do you have good communication? We know we need good communication, but how does that happen? And so I love they leave with concrete things to hold on to and really, really change the trajectory of their lives. So
very experiential, very hands-on. People learn by doing. We teach them specific skills that anybody can learn based on research, based on things that work. And then we teach them how to do those skills. Then she and I, or whoever the instructors are, demonstrate the skill. Here's how you actually do it. And then we stop the class or the retreat, and now they do it. And then we walk around to make sure, and we have coaches that go around to make sure they're doing it the right way. And then people start to realize, oh, wow, I can do that. That wasn't actually that hard. And we just dealt with our hottest issue, and I'm not mad at you right now. We actually made a little bit of progress there. They are shocked at how easy it is to learn how to do that.
Matter of fact, I can tell you, there's so many times where people will say to me, we have dealt with this issue for 20 years. We made more progress in 10 minutes than we have in 20 years. So it really is pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't know what you don't know. That's what's crazy.
Amen.
That's right.
That's exactly the first thing.
So you need to come teach it, Scarlett, because that's one of our concepts. When it comes to healthy marriage, you don't even know what you don't know because you've never seen it and you've never experienced it. Just like I didn't experience it growing up.
Yeah.
She didn't experience it growing up. We had to learn this stuff, not from the families we grew up in.
Yeah, and I love y'all also focus on, it's one of the things that drew me to y'all's Instagram. Y'all focus on fun a lot, those date nights and prioritizing that. Do y'all have any recommendations on how that looks, how often, or does it need to be in the house or away from the house? What could you tell them on that?
Well, I can tell you that we say to folks all the time, we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way. The easy way, the research is overwhelming. If you go out on one date night a month, just one date night a month, your divorce rate drops in half. There's a lot of research that's been done that just having that intentional time together, and it doesn't have to be epic. It doesn't need to be this grandiose, huge thing that we go to the most expensive restaurant in town and spend $500 on a night. It doesn't have to be like that. When we were young and broke, like so many couples are, we couldn't afford to go out on date night. So one of the things that we would do is we would put the kids to bed, and Elizabeth would have a candlelight dinner, and we didn't have babysitters because they cost money. So we'd put the kids to bed and we'd have a candlelight dinner, and we would just sit there, just the two of us with the kids going to bed. So it doesn't have to be these grandiose things. It can just be, can we go to McDonald's and get a soft serve without the kids for half an hour and have some, and we would take turns with our friends and have them watch the kids while we would go on a date, or we'd go away for a weekend and then we'd watch their kids for the weekend. So we trade off. So it didn't cost anything, and we'd have to pay for the babysitters. Those little creative things that you can do to keep the date nights going.
That's cool. Is there any suggestions y'all have for those that, like, when someone is deployed or, on the field or whatever, any ways to connect during that time?
Yeah, we actually talk about that in our Family Frontiers, and we have the military couples at their tables brainstorm ideas at their tables, because that's the best way to learn, is from other people. How do you do it? How do you handle it? One of my favorite things was it's a light that you buy online, and you can get it on Amazon, and it's a light that's hooked to the internet. So what it does is, there's two lights. So if a little girl, one little girl we talked to, she has it, she touches her lights in the United States, and when she touches her light, it goes off. Overseas in Afghanistan, her father, the light comes on in his tent because it's internet, and the light comes on. He comes home after his day serving our country. He walks into his tent, the light's on. He goes over there and he touches it. His light goes off, and her light comes on. And we talked to one little girl who just sat there. She said she just was in tears, sitting there for an hour. She would sit there and turn it on, and she just went back and forth because she couldn't talk to her dad because he was in a classified. He couldn't, but he could sit there and do the light. So for an hour, the light just went on and off and on and off and on, and she was connecting to her dad. What a sweet thing! And it's like $50 on Amazon to get this light that just goes on and off overseas and staying connected. Isn't that powerful?
And we
It
have
is,
one of the
yeah. That's
right?
tearing me up just thinking about that. I mean, because it really does. If you've lived this life, like I had my daughter right as he was having to deploy. They actually let him stay so I could have her and have him there with me because he was supposed to go that first round, and he was the one person chose to stay back. And then, but then he had to go within 2 months from that, and she didn't get to have that bond with him in that time. And then for my son, that was 3 at the time, and they don't understand all of that. Now we're moving and everything, and so it puts me back in those moments of thinking like how cool technology is these days. We would write letters. I have all these pictures still that I would write on the back, this is Devin doing this, and this is on this date, and
Yeah.
then I would burn them CDs, like
I know
back
back
in
in the day, I know that old technology. I know. Wow. Yeah.
Yes, but you would have to mail it off and, then wait. And I remember I would get letters in the mail, and I'd go drive out to the beach and make a whole moment of it and open up his letter and just
That's
read it and
precious.
just be like a time for, us to connect in that moment. And how cool technology is now that they have this light. And I've seen those lights. I hadn't thought about it military wise. I've talked about it as far as for our blended families. You may have a child that lives in another state, and here's a cool thing that you can go and I think you put your hand in it and it lights up. There's one like that, and theirs will light up too when you both are putting your hand through it at the same time or something like that.
You could do
How
that with the
cool.
blended families, just like you said, where I'm at mom's house and I'm at dad's house. Well, I'm sitting there, I'm missing you, mom, right now. I'm missing you. And you're in another city right now, but you can do the same thing. And that light comes on and you just kind of light up. I'm my daughter. This is her weekend with her dad. And I'm kind of down. And you walk in the house, you see the light on. I mean, it's just, it just can completely change your mood. Another thing that they did that I thought was really clever is they would a lot of them set their timer so that on the exact same time every day at such and such a time. So it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here, and it's 10 o'clock at night in Afghanistan. So whatever the time difference is, the vibrating alarm goes off for everybody in the family. So everyone's phones go off at that 3:01 p.m. And then at that moment, when you feel that buzzer in your pocket, you kind of go, I'm thinking about my mom right now. I'm thinking about my dad, and my dad's thinking about me, and we're all thinking about each other just for this one moment, just for a moment. And it goes off every day. I love that. That is such a cool idea. So there's a lot of things that couples can do, families can do to stay connected when they're overseas deployed.
I love those ideas. I mean, just that in itself is like, okay, you could start probably researching and looking into things as well and seeing like what do they have now, or like you're saying, use those resources of other military families, like what do you guys do, and then be able to bounce ideas off of each other. So if anyone listening today is looking for somewhere to get started as far as the resources that y'all have available, where would you say would be the first thing? Like, do y'all have something like in a PDF form or a video form or a book, or just following y'all on social media? Where should they go to get started?
Well, if they're on a base, you might want to start with the chapel corps, and go talk to the chapel and say, hey, do we have any resiliency programs? Well, if we don't, shouldn't we have some? I know they're doing this all over the country with all branches, the Army, Navy, Air Force, they all have them. Hey, chaplain, can we bring that here? Can we do something here? And kind of get the ball rolling. That's very often how it starts with us, and then they bring us in. So that's one thing. But what I would say is, if somebody wants something even now, right now, next step is, I don't, we can't do this for hundreds of people, but if people contact you or they contact us and they say, I heard you on the Enjoying Your Blended Family podcast, and I'd like to go to one of those retreats. Well, if you can get there, I will do my best. We will do our best to get you into one of those retreats. So if you do them in Florida, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, California, am I missing any states? Those are the main ones that we've got retreats coming up for. If you let us know you're coming, we might be able to sneak you in, and we'll just add you to the roster. And but you got to get there. Oklahoma, Vance Air Force Base. Yeah. So we'll find a way to. I can't do that for hundreds of people, but if people say, hey, I'd like to go to that, if you can get there, we'll find a way through the back door to help you get in.
Well, and also definitely do follow us on social media, because there's lots of good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
All the different platforms, really, really good stuff. Every day you're going to get new, wonderful content, really from all of our offices. So really good stuff.
And we are coming up with an app. It should be ready at the end of August. I think it'll be ready. And there'll be a lot of stuff on that. Free date night ideas, low cost date night ideas, conversation starters, games to play with your kids in the car, games to play with your spouse when you're in the car, all kinds of things to do, activities, personality assessments. We have a whole bunch of content coming out on this app that's going to be really cool, but it's not ready yet.
And if you wanted to contact us, just go to livethelife.org. And like we said, we do scholarship one couple a month to go from the military to go to the Hope Weekend.
And if you live in Florida, we have them all over the state that we offer Adventures in Marriage for free.
We're doing them in Tennessee every once in a while.
And Tennessee is another place. So we do them all over the place in Florida. So if you happen to be in Florida, you definitely want to go to livethelife.org and find those classes, because they're free for the next 2 years. We have a sponsor paying for that. So yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate that so much. And I know our we call them our B fam, our blended family community here. If you hear that and you're like, yes, I live in one of those areas, or you live close enough to be able to drive. I know we were talking before we started recording that, Elizabeth was saying that she thought it was in San Antonio. She wasn't 100% where they're coming in Texas. But I mean, for us, that's a 3-hour drive. So worth it to be able to get in and to get into one of these weekends. And they're saying they'll make it happen for you. So take the time to invest in your family, use these resources. And if you want something today, like she was saying, like, go, if you follow them on Instagram, you're going to get so much. Even if you're not military, you're going to get so much just genius ideas. Their account is very similar to our account, where they do focus on fun a lot, and they're sharing very practical tips with you that you can get started doing that. So there are resources. The good news is there are resources now available. Just like when we talked about, when we share our blended family testimony, we could not find resources when we became a blended family. Everything, we were going to counseling, we were going to our church, we were taking classes, and it was all for nuclear families. And we would try our hardest to do the things they were teaching us, but it just didn't work when you have other people, other parents involved, and it's not your biological child. There's just so much of the dynamic. And so we always say now we're so much more fortunate because people are investing in this. And so now, just like with the military, there are resources out there. Go to the website. Did you say it's livethelife.org?
Yeah.
livethelife.org and get some of those resources. I actually checked that out when I was first checking you guys out. And I mean, I got kind of lost on there with so much. There's so many things there to read, to look over, just to give you ideas, and mostly so that you walk away after listening to this episode and following some of these resources with hope. That just like that couple that they said coming in, like they were on the brink of like, we didn't know if you're going to make it. Just like you guys, they weren't sure if your marriage was going to make it. And then when you get that glimpse of hope of like, okay, if we have the right tools in our tool belt, we can 100% make it. We got to put the work in. It's not going to just happen, but
we can do this.
Yes, there is hope in that. So is there anything else that y'all want to share with our B fam before we wrap up this episode?
Well, have you ever had Tammy Daughtry on your program?
I have not.
She has a program for Stepfamilies and blended families, and she's another great resource out there. Does a lot of work, and she's in a blended family, and they have learned so much, and now their passion is to share that with others. So that might be someone to be another resource for your listeners.
Sure. Yeah, I'll have to check. You said Tammy Daughtry?
Tammy Daughtry, yeah.
She's out of Nashville, but I just want to say thank you to you for what you do, because we see so many families, and it doesn't mean because you're a blended family that you can't make it, and it really does feel that way because you have a lot of stuff against you. It's hard enough when you're just getting married in a regular situation, but to have a blended family is an extraordinary thing, but it's not something you can't do. So I just love the fact that you're focusing on that, and thank you for all you guys do.
There's
I
definitely
really
a way.
appreciate that.
And if you're anywhere near San Antonio, in the next couple weeks, let us know, and we'll put you in that back door to come
You
join
might
us.
come to Destin because you could be right on the beach. So just make up whatever works best for you all.
Yes, I'll look and see if I can find y'all's schedule and share that around the time this episode comes out, and so that people, because we do have people that listen all over the United States, and so they can look and see and find that date, and then we'll get them to reach out to you guys. And we do appreciate that, because I know that that is a sacrifice that y'all are making to be able to sponsor a family out there. So we so appreciate it. Appreciate y'all taking the time to come on here and just speak into our community. And then enjoy your blended family. If you are a military family, I hope that this message today just speaks to your heart and gives you hope. Even if you and your spouse are on completely opposite sides of the world right now, or if you are living in the same house, but it feels like you're on opposite sides of the world because your relationship is so strained, walk away from this. That is my heart and my prayer, that you walk away from this saying, okay, I am not alone. There are things that I can do. And that us mentality, that win, win, win for you, for them, and for your relationship, you're on the same team. And how can you take these steps so that you have a win for everybody at the end? If you're willing to do the work, then there's definitely hope in that area. And if you are not a military family, for one, take some time to reach out to somebody that is military this week. Maybe offer to babysit for them or something. Do something in just that, like, hey, we see you. We see the sacrifice that you are making, because it is so much more than just going and fighting overseas, but it is affecting their day-to-day life in their family and in their relationships. So just finding ways to reach out and say thank you, and that, or then maybe just take this episode and share it with them, because this may be the exact thing that they need to hear. That like Elizabeth was saying, that when you hear that right thing, you get that tool, that right way to be able to communicate, it not only changes your life and your home and your family right then, but your children and your children's children. You are actually changing the generations in your family just by simply sharing an episode with them. So take some time to do that today. And until next time, remember to take some time to have some fun and enjoy your blended family. Bye, guys. Hey, have you heard of Get Out Pass? I hadn't either. I saw it on a friend's social media, and I had to immediately look to see if my state had it, because she lives in a different state than me. I was like, oh heck yeah, where can we sign up? If you are home for the summer and looking for things to do, you want to get yourself a Get Out Pass. You pay one time for each of your family members, a one-time fee, and it gets you in to all of these places around your community for free. It is so worth it. When I heard about this, I began to look into it, and I was like, are you kidding me? It costs this much to get into every single one of these places. This is thousands of dollars that we are saving, and now we have the opportunity, because of the one time that we paid, to get into all of these places. These are water parks, climbing places, jumping places, arts and craft areas, boardwalks, theme parks, type activities. Then I took that list and I sent it to all of my kids and asked them, hey, which one of these things do you want to do? Now I have plans all summer long, even with my adultish children, and of course the grandbaby. These bigger cities are partnered with Get Out Passes. So go and check now, see if you have a city nearby that allows you to use this pass, and then get it for your family. It will pay for itself in 1 to 2 visits, I promise you. And if you're part of our blended family community, use the code BFAM and you get 30% off. You buy it one time and you have all year to go to all of these places one time. Go get it, sign your family up, and do not sit at home this summer with all them kids. Get out the house and make some memories. Thanks for joining us today. We hope this episode has been a blessing and encouraged your family journey.
Make sure you stay connected with us and join our weekly Blended Family newsletter. We send an email out every Friday morning full of support and encouragement.
And when you join, we also want to give you a free gift. So go get yours today. The link is in the show notes below.
Have an amazing day. Remember to enjoy the journey with your blended family, and we'll see you on the next episode.